Have you ever wondered what it would be like to retire, but felt unsure if you were really ready? Imagine being able to, test drive your retirement before making that final leap. In this episode, we'll explore a real life story of someone who did just that, and I'll share the practical steps that she took to gain confidence to retire comfortably. Whether you are just beginning to think about retirement or you're literally almost there, you will find this episode insightful as you think about how you would possibly transition smoothly. Stay tuned to discover how you can ensure you're financially ready, adapt your lifestyle, and ease into retirement without feeling overwhelmed. Let's dive in.
Welcome to the Financial Mirror. Where future success is reflected in our knowledge of fixing the one thing we can control, ourselves.
Welcome to the Financial Mirror, and thanks for joining me today as we continue to work to improve the one thing we can control, ourselves. Here at the Financial Mirror, it is not about the numbers and spreadsheets alone, but about transforming and educating you on money so that you can make smarter financial decisions. If this is the first time you are joining in, don't forget to hit subscribe on YouTube to be notified of all the new episodes as they release. If you're listening to this on Rumble, don't forget to follow the channel and like the video. If you're on a podcast platform, subscribe to the podcast, like the video, share it with all of your friends and family. So today we're discussing a super crucial topic because it's the one thing that everyone looks forward to and most are not really actively prepping for. I would tell you that you have to put conscious effort into retirement. And today I want to talk about a little bit more effort, but very, in the long run, it will make it more comfortable as you transition. But it's a crucial step. Crucial step is retirement. Everyone wants to get there. Not everyone knows how. So, I guess you do know how. Maybe you're just not ready, or maybe you just feel like you're not ready and you actually are. Today, we're going to talk about that. We're going to talk about how you can test out retirement, do a little test drive of retirement before you make that final purchase, before you take that final leap. In this episode, I want to share a real life example of someone who successfully transitioned into retirement using a very, very, very simple 3-step approach. Right, I'm going to cover how to determine if you are financially ready, how you can start to adapt lifestyle, how you can kind of ease that burden of transition. Because regardless of what you think, it's almost like losing a job. Like, it's very, very relatable to losing a job. Like, you had an income that was steady. You had a direct deposit set up every, other Friday or once a month or every other, 1st and 15th or whatever, however your pay structure was, you knew you had worked and there would be money in your account on that day. Retirement's not like that, right? People have varying withdrawal strategies, whether they're doing a monthly draw, whether they do an annual draw and they live on that. Like, people have different strategies, but you become self-employed. And it is quite the transition. It is not as easy as just like you just, hop into retirement. Like, it's not that simple. There's a lot that goes into it. But today I want to discuss 3 super easy steps to make it a whole lot easier as you transition into it. So without further ado, let's jump right in. We're going to start with step 1, which is how to make sure that you are financially ready. Well, the first thing that you need to do is you need to determine that you are indeed at your retirement number. Now, this is the most critical step because you got to make sure you have enough to retire, because you're at a losing battle if you're going to hop into retirement, but you don't have enough to do it comfortably. Right. So I call it a retirement number. I'm not the only, I didn't come up with this. Like, there's many people call it a retirement number, but it means the most, right? Some people call it a nest egg, but nest eggs can be for just about any, it could be a savings nest egg. So I call it a retirement number because it's the amount you need in retirement accounts or in some type of, bridge fund, if you're not at a retirement age or something of that nature, that can help you know that you can comfortably retire. So how do you determine what that is? Well, super easy to do, but to calculate it, you just need to first thing that you need to do in step 1 is figure out how much you need to live on each year, right? How much you need to live on each month if you need to break it down to that level. But what is that annual income? What is that monthly income? And then take that times 12 that you need to live on comfortably each year. Okay, because that's what's going to drive this number. Like, you need to first figure out, okay, I need $5,000 a month, right? So I'm going to do $60,000 a year, or whatever that case is. You need to first figure that out. Now, if you have that in your head and you're like, yep, I know what that number is. If you don't, go add up your expenses that you're spending right now. It's a great starting point. Go figure out what, like, it's your current lifestyle. How much are you spending each month to live and not have to change anything? Maybe this is the exact lifestyle you want. Some people, when they go into retirement, they're like, well, I know my gas cost is going to go down because I'm not driving back and forth to work. Be careful with that, because now you're going to be driving back and forth to your retirement activities, right? So be careful. But if you just did a complete, like, I'm not changing my lifestyle at all, what would that expense be? Okay. This is just the best way to look at it, because it's like going on a diet, right? If you just said, yep, I eat 3,000 calories a day, and tomorrow and forever, I'm just going to eat 1,000. That's a tough transition, and it's very hard to stick to. So if you make a drastic change in how you're going to live, how much you're going to live on, it will be hard to stick to, and you could end up eating a little bit too much into your retirement savings than you intended. So first thing is figure out how much do you need to live each year. Break it down to month or however. Now, let's just say you plan to withdraw $50,000 a year. That you know you got your house paid off. I can comfortably live on $50,000 a year. Well, what you're going to do to get your retirement number is take that and divide it by your withdrawal rate. Getting all hung up on my tongue here. But divide that by your withdrawal rate. So if you're going to withdraw $50,000, and general rule of thumb is a withdrawal rate between 3 and 5% is pretty good. You know, you've probably heard of the 4% rule. I did an episode on the 4% rule. It's just a good rule of thumb. If you plan to withdraw $50,000 a year, and let's say you're going to withdraw that's a 4% withdrawal rate, you need to take 50,000 and divide it by 0.04, which is 4%, and that's going to give you 1.25 million. Okay, so you're going to need, in retirement accounts or in some type of retirement-based account, it could be a brokerage account, but you need it in some type of account that you've set aside for retirement. It needs to total 1.25 million. And that means that at a 4% withdrawal rate, you will be able to have $50,000 a year. Okay. So I did do a lot of looking to see if I could find a good calculator that would just make this easier, because maybe you want to run a bunch of different numbers. Vanguard probably had the best calculator from what I could see. So pretty much, and I'll put a link to this in the description, but pretty much what you need to do is just put that as if your current age and your retirement age needs to be the same. Because what this is meant to do is kind of give you here's how much you need to be setting aside extra so that you can hit your retirement number or whatever. But just put them as the same, and put where it says I make $50,000 a year, just put how much you want to make per year. So the 50,000 is our example that I was talking about earlier. Say you've already saved 1.25 million for retirement, and you think you'll need 100% of 50,000. So you just need 50,000. And then I expect an annual rate of return of 8%. 8% is just a good number. Just annual rate is pretty conservative or pretty safe. What that's going to give you is hey, that's going to pay you out $4,167 dollars per month. Let's say you didn't have the 1.25, right? Because in our math problem, let's say we don't know that. You could still just put it at 0, and it's going to say you need 4,167, right? So you see it right here on the right where it says you need 4,167. That's going to give you your number. That's going to say, yep, that's how much I need per month. Maybe that's how you want to play with it, or maybe you say, you know what? I want to see how much you would need to have $100,000 income. So just saying I need that, I recalculate. That's going to give me 8,333. And this would be, roughly, That's not gonna give you your number though. Does this show you your number right here? I didn't even run it that way. Didn't say. So that's gonna give you your 100,000. But how much is that going to be? So would that be? Well, this will help you in one direction. I don't know if it'll help you in all directions because this will still not going to give you that retirement number. Could you take that divided by your 0.04? It's going to be 2.5 million. So you could put that in. You could play with the numbers right there. That's going to give you your 2.5 million. So just figure out what that monthly is. Figure out how much you need to save. So maybe this is you right here and you're planning. This will still give you a good retirement number. Because if you're let's say 50 and you want to retire at 49 and you want to make $100,000 and you had 2 million in the bank, well, that's 200,000, but 2 million in the bank, you could still hit your recalculate and see how on track you are, right? Because this is saying that you're going to continue to let this grow over 9 years. So you'll be fine at that point. So just gives you a good idea. Not as good of a calculator as I thought, but all good. The biggest thing right here is just remember that if you plan to withdraw X, whatever that is, just divide it by your withdrawal rate and that'll give you your retirement number. Super easy to throw that up. But there's a couple different factors that can influence that. Inflation, unexpected medical expenses, changes in lifestyle, all those things. So keep those in mind when you're coming up with that retirement number because it's super, super important. Now, the individual that I sort of based this episode around, that I got this idea from, went through and calculated her retirement number. She was initially pretty skeptical, but she realized that even with like a modest annual return, like when she was looking at this, the markets were very, very, very turbulent, right? Like volatile as all get out. And it could sometimes feel a little washy, and many people probably think the same way. But what she realized is that even with like just a modest annual return, she could comfortably live off her investments. And that was kind of the first realization she needed. That was that step one, is that she said, you know what? My retirement number, I'm good. I've got what I need. So that's in my favor, right? Like that's the first thing that's in my favor is I've got enough. I've got enough. So step one, make sure you know your retirement number. Make sure you know how much you can withdraw comfortably annually. Make sure all that's included. Now, step two is this is all while you're still working, right? You're still planning for retirement. You're still making sure. This is you test driving it. Like you've got the first you got to identify the car, right? Like you got to say, yep, that's what I want to test drive. So first is you got to get the number. You got to figure out how much can I buy? How much car can I buy, right? How much can you buy? You're not going to go test drive the Porsche if all you can afford is the Ford Focus, right? The big difference. So first identify that. The second part, when you're ready to start your retirement, is you got to look at the payments. You got to look at how much this is going to cost. And this comes in as living on your retirement budget. So start living on your retirement budget. Once you know that retirement number, that next is start adjusting your lifestyle to match your retirement budget. That means if you plan to live on $50,000 a year, but right now you make 75 and you're living on 75, adjust. Start living on $50,000 a year. That'll help that shift once you actually go into retirement not be a total shock. Start tracking your expenses if you're not already. You should be, but start tracking those things. Cut out unnecessary costs. Focus on that essential spending. But still, remember, this is about to be your lifestyle for the long term. So if you start living this, and you're at step two, right? Like you're living on the retirement budget. You're driving the car. You're not going to want to drive the car and be like, well, I don't really like the way that the steering wheel feels, but I'm going to buy it anyways, right? Like you're not going to do that. Like if you're not liking something about that lifestyle, if you're not liking the way that it feels, maybe you're not ready, right? That test drive was worth it. You got to step two and you were like, yeah, I need more retirement. I need my retirement number bigger. Like I thought I could live on 50,000. I thought I could live on 75,000. And I'm just not liking it. I don't like the way it feels. The rubber on the road just is not feeling, it's not feeling like it's intact. Like I'm all over the place. It's just not feeling good. So good for you. Good riddance. You didn't jump in the deep end and not be able to swim. Like you were ready. You thought about it. You test drove it and you're like, yep, I'm good. Step two, I'm going to go back to step one and I'm changing my retirement number, right? You see how this is iterative. Step one was to get the number. Step two is to test it out, start living on it, right? So, like I said, this individual, she projected it and she started living on it, right? Before she even retired, she started living on it and she found it challenging, but it was more challenging from a sense for her. It was more challenging in a sense of just adapting to the way it was, not from financially, challenging, but just adapting to see, like, going through the practice of living on that budget. That's not the same as what you're seeing in the bank account, right? You see all this money that you're making with your full paycheck, and then you're kind of adapting to say, okay, but I need to live on this, right? So initially, there's probably some struggles and adjustments that you have to go through, but once you adapt, everything is good, right? So I did want to look at some of the retirement budgeting apps that are out, or retirement budgeting, just budgeting apps that are out there. I love Quick and Simplify as an option. It's fairly, cheap to get started on. $2.99 a month if you pay annually. But it's a really good budgeting app. It's one that I recommend to many. You Need a Budget is another that is just really, really nice. It's a little bit more pricey, but a lot of people just love it. A lot of people love You Need a Budget. So that's another one that you can utilize. And then finally, Rocket Money is becoming more and more popular. They have a great marketing department, but they are becoming really popular in this budgeting space. And they have an interesting price structure. So I'm not going to get too much into it, but you can definitely use Rocket Money for free. But they also have some more premium membership pricing things where you kind of pay as much as you want up to a certain point, right? There is a lower end. I think it's like $3 to $7, something like that a month. But anyways, just another budgeting app that you can look into. But all those three are really good. Quick and Simplify, You Need a Budget, Rocket Money, all are really good. The biggest thing is that you need to start budgeting if you're not. If you're going to go into retirement, you can't be living on a whim, right? You cannot be living on a whim. If you're not budgeting in a retired state, you are in trouble. You are in trouble. You are on a fixed income, and there's no, you can't, yes, you could dip into your retirement fund a little bit more to cover costs, but that is not a good practice to be in. So you really need to be living on what you said you're going to live on. So getting in the habit of budgeting, make sure that you're doing that. That's so important. But if you find, like I said, if you're step two and you find that living on your retirement budget is too difficult, it may just be the sign that you needed to say, save a little bit more. You need to save a little bit more because it's better to know this now than after you've retired, right? So that's kind of step two. So step one was get that retirement number. Step two was start living on that retirement number, living on that retirement budget. And then step three is that ease into retirement. Ease into retirement. And this is where it gets fun because the final step is to just gradually get to retirement. And this can involve moving to maybe a part-time position in your current, with your current employer. Maybe this looks like that they move you into a part-time role. You probably, if you're getting into the retirement age, you've probably got a lot of knowledge, a lot of experience. You've probably been, a seasoned team member, or maybe you're managing a team or leading a department or VP of something, and there's probably some transition that needs to happen. So this could be a time for you to switch to more of a part-time role and provide benefit to the employer by saying, hey, as you bring in the person that's going to backfill me, I can work with them. I can get them up to speed. I can tell them all the things that I'm doing, so they can kind of bring in and bring a new life to it, a new vision to it. But at least they can get up to speed on current state and what's currently happening in the organization. So very good for that. But then it may just also be an opportunity for you to take on something new. Something new that's still part-time, but it's just a new thing, maybe in your current field or maybe in a new field, but just something that you want to get into. But that ease is going from a full-time position into a part-time position, and that can really help. It can help with things like adjusting to your new income. It can help with things like kind of sticking to a little bit of that daily lifestyle and routine that you've probably gotten into. You still get to go to work, 3 days a week or whatever, and that kind of gives you a chance to figure out the other aspects of being retired, such as, what am I going to do with all this extra time, right? the person that I'm speaking that kind of referenced the episode before is she kind of went from working 5 days a week and off 2 to working 2 days a week and off 5, right? She did like a complete flop, right? So, she now had time to like start testing out retirement. She got to, head out and do a lot of things over 5 days and come to work for 2 and life goes on. But there's other things like healthcare that you got to figure out, right? Because you're probably receiving healthcare from your employer. And when you retire, that's not at all the case, not always the case. So got to figure that piece out as well. So tons of benefits in that gradual easing. Now, my friend, like I said, transitioned part-time work before she fully retired. And this step really helped in getting used to that retirement lifestyle. So, just a little confidence boost, just a little opportunity to make that easier. But if you've gotten to step 3, the good part is that you are set up and ready for a successful retirement. If you're in step 3 of this 3-step process, you are set up and ready for retirement because you've got a good retirement number. You've lived that retirement number. You can do it. You can. Now you're kind of just working through the nuances of retirement to become self-employed in literal senses and purposes here, because you will have to take out money and withdraw at a particular rate and figure out, how am I going to live on this? Do I withdraw one time annually, or do I withdraw one time each month? Or how do I do this? Do I withdraw like 6 months? And like, how do I do it? What account do I withdraw? Like, all of those are little things you need to figure out. And kind of moving into that first step, that part-time work, and start doing that and living on that can make it a whole lot easier. So I encourage you to try this 3-step approach. If you're thinking about retirement, it's a great opportunity for you to jump in. Step 1 is very quick and easy to figure out. Step 2, it'll take some months of iteration to make sure that it's good. And then when you get to step 3, like, you're almost there. You should be getting ready to wind down and figure out that retirement plan. So if you're not ready at any step, it's perfectly fine to continue working and reassess at a later date. If you're not at retirement age, this just gives you something to think about. Start thinking about, get through step 1 and step 2, and just start to figure out, like, maybe you can cut back on your lifestyle, right? And that'll help you increase the amount of money that you can save to help you have a bigger retirement number, right? Because let's be honest, if you're currently making $100,000 a year and you live on such a modest lifestyle that you build up, $4 million in retirement account money, right? In retirement money, you could retire and get a pay raise. It's very possible. You could retire and make more money out of your retirement account than you did when you were working. It is possible. So I encourage you, take this 3-step approach, regardless of age. At least get through step 1 and 2, and start living on a comfortable budget. Start living on something that is sustainable, and start to put money aside. Pay off that house early. Start investing extra. Start building up that retirement account so that you can retire comfortably. So to recap, start by figuring out the retirement number, adjust your lifestyle, live on that retirement budget, and ease into retirement with part-time work. These steps will help you gain confidence and ensure a very smooth transition. So hopefully you found this episode helpful. If you did, please like, share, and subscribe to the Financial Mirror. Leave a comment below with your thoughts or questions about retirement if you have some, and I'd love to hear any stories that you have about your retirement journey, or maybe some of the things that you took away from this that you are applying to your life as you kind of move into that retirement phase. Remember, retirement is a significant milestone, but with proper planning and preparation, you can actually enjoy it. It is a huge milestone. It is tough to swallow, but remember, proper planning and preparation, and you can enjoy it. So I really appreciate you watching, and look forward to next week where we pop out a new episode. But I did want to tell you, if you are wanting to take control of your finances, or just make sure, if you want to look at this retirement plan together, I'm happy to do that with you. Just head over to thefinancialmirror.org. Hit book now and schedule a free consultation today. And if you do want to give an extra dose of support to the stream, head over to thefinancialmirror.org/shop. Pick you up some awesome Financial Mirror gear. Truly appreciate everyone tuning in. Till next week, continue improving the one thing you can control, yourself. Peace.
Well, that wraps up today's Financial Mirror. Join us next week as we continue to work on ourselves, change our mentality, and to commit to achieving the success we always envisioned. Regardless of your platform, help us grow as a community. Please like, subscribe, and share with the people in your lives.